Hello, my name is Dara Thomason and I am the Free Motion Quilting Liberator. And really what it means is I teach you to be more confident in learning how to quilt your projects with your own free motion quilting. You no longer have to be afraid. You don't have to be sending all your projects to the long armer and waiting for them to get it back to you. You don't have to be worrying about spending all this money on free motion quilting, having people do it for you. And the thing that was the most important to me actually was that I wanted to finish all of my projects all by myself. I'm a very independent woman, and so having someone else work on my projects was really disempowering, and it kind of took the fun out of doing my quilting. And especially when I was giving them as gifts, I felt like I was cheating, like I wasn't really putting my very own mark on it. Now, I'm not saying overnight you're going to be able to do all the free motion quilting and make it look the most amazing ever. It is a process, but I have a lot of support for you. So today in our class, I'm going to be showing you free motion quilting pumpkins and leaves. And in that, there's going to be a couple of parts to this class. The first is I'm going to walk you through some main points of how to do the design. And then I'm going to show you how to put together a quilt sandwich for your table runner. Now, this class, you have a handout that goes with it, but we don't have an actual set pattern to make. I'm literally just going to have you measure the size of the table that you want to put a table runner on, and just decide ahead of time how big you want it to have. And then we are just going to use a solid piece of fabric. If you want to piece something, go for it. But for the purpose of this class, I'm going to be demonstrating how to do the free motion quilting on my domestic machine and on my long arm. And then I'm also going to give you some tips on how to select the fabric and also on how to make sure that you're basting your project properly. And so that is what my goal is for you today. And by the end of this, you will have the ability to make a table runner with the pumpkin and the leaves to help you to have more fun with fall, and you can create it yourself. All right. And then at the end, I'm going to show you how I can help you with my free motion quilting books and different supports to help you to keep going. All right, let's get started. Okay, so one of the things that when I teach free motion quilting, I always emphasize that just like when you were at school and you learned cursive writing, you practiced and practiced and practiced. So you created muscle memory of that letter. So we have the alphabet and you just know it. It's in your brain, it's in your hand. You can just do it. So when you're learning to free motion quilt, I highly recommend that you use paper and pen. Whether you're going to quilt on a domestic machine or a long arm, the fact is you need to develop that muscle memory first. And so I recommend that you get the piece of paper, you fold it in half, and then you fold it in thirds. And then you get a clipboard and you simply put it on the clipboard. So just as a warm up, because I always like to do a warm up when you're doing free motion quilting, is I would just recommend you just write the alphabet without lifting your pen. Don't worry about the dotting the I's or crossing the T's, but just getting that flow and just starting to have that connection between I have a thought and I create this on paper. So using a dry erase marker board, that's also really helpful. It glides really easily. Of course, the only problem is you can get marker on your hand. So just to review, we want to create muscle memory and we want to take as much tension and as much pressure off as possible. That's super important. And so, and to warm up and just to give yourself that confidence, I would just go ahead and just start to do the alphabet and just see, oh my goodness, I'm free motion quilting right now. I'm just writing I haven't lifted my pen. I'm just doing this. It's hard to do when you don't, because you're so ingrained to like do all the T's and dots and everything. But that's just gonna warm you up, okay? All right, so free motion quilting is, we are just embellishing or just stitching our projects. And because I am a free motion quilting liberator, because I love free motion quilting, I like to quilt with a lot of solids, because solids, I just love how my stitching pops and how it just adds a whole other layer to my project that I never imagined. So being able to do fun things like this has brought me a lot of delight. Now, if you are a beginner, which I'm assuming you have some beginning to watching this, I would recommend using a busier print. So something like this, that's quite a busy print. It's a fun kind of fall fabric, or even something like this with this kind of color, or a polka dot or something. If you or even this one's super cute for a kitchen or something. But if you use a busy print, you would then use a finer thread. So thread weight is the higher the number, the thinner the thread. So, So I would recommend using like a 50 or a 60 weight on this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna walk you through the pumpkin. So we're going to the basic shape of a pumpkin. So we just come in like a kind of a heart, but it's like a rounded heart. And then we're going to come out and do our stem, peduncle, and then we're just going to keep going around, and then we're going to bring that, and then we're going to do our little curls. Now, so you see how I'm just doing one continuous line, I'm creating the shape of it, I'm visualizing it ahead of time, and then I'm going to bring this little doodle, little swirly thing, and then I'm going to come in, I'm going to come again, I'm going to bring it out, I'm going to create, and then again. Now, if you want to switch directions, you can do that. You can do the stem. It's a little bit harder because it's a little tricky to create that space. But this is your travel line, right? So you can travel, and you can do different sizes if you want. There's your peduncle. That was the funnest word. When my kids went to elementary kindergarten, they learned about the peduncle. So here we can do the stem this way, and then we can bring it down. You can only do 2 if you want. If that looks weird, you can just come back. So do you see what we're doing? Now, when you're doing free motion quilting also, we have to learn how to draw the design from different angles. But you don't have to do it now. And even maybe one of the ways to help you is even just to draw, just bring it in and on an angle. And then we do this angle. And then we come in like this. And then you practice. And then again, the angle, so we have to visualize, okay, I'm bringing it in. Here's my stem. Right, so you can just practice. All right, this really is the name of the game, is practice. Now, so here we have the pumpkins. So again, we come around, and then we do it in half, and then we have our stem, and then we bring it around. We bring it around, around, around. If we even wanted to embellish that way, we could, and then we just come around like that, okay? So we just slow it down and we talk about it. Now, so that's our pumpkin. Now I'm gonna go through, now this is this fun kind of leaf. So we're going oak leaf. So we're gonna do the stem first. Now I like to bring the stem up and then bring the stem down. And then we're going to do like a nice curve and come into it. You can do a pointy top and then come back into it, okay? So one of the tips that I'm gonna share with doing, when you create these shapes, I want you to visualize what it reminds you of. This one kind of reminds me of a dilly, not a dilly bar, but an ice cream bar from McDonald's or from Dairy Queen. So you know how it has this kind of look to it? And there's the ice cream cone. So when you can visualize something and you're like, oh, that's what it looks like, that's gonna help you create that design. Now a leaf, and so one of the suggestions I gave on the handout is go for a walk in nature and go and look at the leaves, because every leaf is different. So even if you wanted, you could bring your design like this, and then you can close it off, and then you can join. See how this one I came down and around, this one I came up, and then I use that to launch my design. I could do the same thing here, and I could have my leaf, but with here, I'm bringing this down, and then I'm gonna come and I'm going to create my design this way. So I have so many choices. You travel on the lines. So if I wanted, I could travel back on this line, and then I could create kind of a doodad here, and then I can come here and I can create a leaf here, and then I could do the same. I could branch this off this way. See how I'm just having fun with saying, like, where do I want to start? Where do I want to start? So I just travel with my lines. And again, if I want to come around this way, and then if I want to travel this way, I can do that. And I can travel along here. And I can just decide. If I want to come back around and come and launch off that way, I can, okay? I'm going to now just show you how you lay out your fabric to spray baste and get it ready. I've laid out my table runner, and what I'm doing is I'm going to place my pumpkins side by side all across from the table runner, okay? So I'm just going to measure them approximately the same size and just put them side by side by side. And then I'm going to just do an outer border with the leaves. One of the things you can do to help you, especially because this is a beginner project, is to measure the width of your table runner and then approximate how big you want your pumpkins. I do recommend you use marking pencils. I don't recommend that you trace them, just because what happens if you trace, it just becomes you're just getting really stressed out about making sure that you're following the lines properly. Whereas I want you just to focus on the flow. And if you've done enough of the doodling, then that's going to be helpful. Okay, so I'm just going to show you an update on how this is going. So I have my 5 little pumpkins side by side, and then see how I'm using the tendrils to just join them. And then I do the same thing and joining them to the leaves. So I bring it in, I come up, I go down one side, and then I come back the other side, and then I join them, and then I bring it up, I come back that side, and then I come up this side. And I'm just gonna follow along. So this is what I want you to be practicing doodling. Thank you for coming to this class. It was really fun to prepare it for you. I want to encourage you to share all of your pictures. Even sharing your doodles will be super helpful. I would love you to ask me any questions, and you have an amazing fall day. Bye-bye.